I spent the last 2 years trying to persuade the management of Facebook that the situation that we were seeing, whether it was relative to the health of the people who use the product, from kids to adults, the issues in democracy, the issues in privacy, the issues in competition, as you said, with Snap, that those were issues the company needed to address and get a handle on, because otherwise there would have to be regulation. I don't believe they're going to make those changes, so now I'm really focused on the people who use the product, trying to help them change the way they use products, not just Facebook, but also Instagram, Google, YouTube, and the others. And at the same time, working with policymakers to make sure that internet platforms like Facebook pay the costs of the externalities, the damage, if you will, that their business model creates, and also to protect users, to protect little kids from internet platforms, to make sure that internet platforms do not enable interference in elections, and to make sure that privacy for all people is something that we take very, very seriously.
What do you mean by pay the costs?
Well, think about it this way.
Are you talking regulators?
Yes, what I'm really talking about is, if you imagine the chemicals industry, for a long time, the chemicals industry was able to dump things more or less with impunity, and then society decided that those costs needed to be borne by the people who created them. And I think we have to have a conversation about how we do that with respect to technology platforms that have been careless in the way that they have interacted with users and with, frankly, the countries in which they operate.
Can I just be clear, you are a current Facebook investor?
I am.
At this moment. So
I am. And Julia, the reason for that is really simple. I didn't want anybody to think that in writing the book I was looking to tank the stock or something. I just wanted people to understand that I'm doing this because I think this is a moral imperative, that we're dealing with a catastrophe that is going to get a lot worse because of smart speakers and the various Alexa-based products that are going to increase the surveillance, and because of artificial intelligence, where carelessness is causing us to take all these biases that exist in the real world and bring them into these black boxes that will be inscrutable.
I just think there's a problem here, because I think you can call yourself an activist investor, but you can't ultimately act when the founder, the CEO of Facebook has the ultimate power here, and as an investor, you can't really do anything to change anything. So is there a question here of advertisers needing to think again? Because the last set of results from Facebook showed that for all the challenges, advertisers think they're the only game in town.
Well, the advertisers are right.
Continue to use them, and investors can't do anything to change it. So,
Julia, that is exactly the problem I face. And you're absolutely got your finger on the pulse here, that there is literally no advertising platform in the world as high quality as Facebook. The numbers in the fourth quarter make sense. If you want to reach audiences with high precision, Facebook is the platform. That's why the market likes the stock so much. My core point here is that products that we love, I still love to use Facebook as a product because I have a rock and roll band. It's the best place to promote it. And, the truth is, though, that things that are good for us individually or fun for us individually can still cause huge harm. That's what we discovered with chemicals, and we've discovered that with other things in the past. And the trick is we have to find a balance, a thing that balances the fun but also protects people from the harm that's caused by them. And again, I'm not the one who's going to be able to come up with all the solutions, but I was in a unique position because at one time I was one of the mentors to Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg. I was in a position to raise the alarm and just make people aware. And again, this is one of those things where technology has taken a bad turn, but it doesn't have to be that way. Technology used to be about empowering people. Steve Jobs famously talked about bicycles for the mind. I just want to get the whole industry back on that idea again.
I think you're raising the right flags here. I just think, unfortunately, it gets buried in a huge amount of hypocrisy here, and I've kind of pointed to it on all sides. Users should have a bigger problem with this. They delete the app, but they don't actually delete their accounts. Advertisers continue to spend with them and to advertise with them, and you yourself say not only are you an investor, I don't see the incentive here for Facebook to change ultimately.
So Julia, here's what I would tell you. I don't think that the problem here is the product per se. It's the business model. And the thing that the investors love is that business model. But for everybody else, that business model creates harm. And my observation here is that people have the ability to withdraw their attention Facebook, Google, Instagram, and YouTube and those kind of products depend on our attention, and we do not have to give them the same attention we gave them at the peak. We can spend less time doing politics. We can spend less time getting into arguments. We can find ways not to let them make us either angry or afraid, which are the way, those are the things that are good for Facebook's business model. And my point to you here is I'm not suggesting this is easy. I'm just suggesting it's really, really important. And because it's really important, I've written a book which gives people guidance. In Zucked, you can learn things you can do that don't, that aren't going to ruin your time online. They're going to still let you share photographs with your family. But there are things that you can do that help to restore some balance in the relationship of these platforms with the people who use them.